Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 50 of the Root of the Science podcast. Yes, you heard me correctly, 50 whole episodes. So for those of you who are hearing my voice for the very first time, this is Nathasia Muwanigwa. I am a Zimbabwean PhD student currently in Luxembourg and the co-founder of Visibility STEM Africa. I'm so incredibly honored to be guest hosting the final episode of season 1 of the Root of the Science podcasts, where I'll be chatting with the amazing Anne with an E, picking up from episode 49, where we mainly focused on the root of her science and her journey in STEM. I just want to start off this podcast by saying how proud I am of Anne for everything that she's been able to achieve over the last few months with this podcast. As someone who is passionate about amplifying the voices of Africans in STEM, I have so much gratitude for the work that Anne has done, creating this beautiful and inspiring space where African scientists can tell their stories in an authentic way. It's only fitting that we wrap up the season with Anne telling us a bit more about what motivated her to birth the idea of this podcast and how she took that idea and created a reality out of it. We recap some of the gems that stuck with her from previous episodes and acknowledges the many people who helped her through this journey. Finally, we talk about the future of this podcast, Anne's future on a professional and personal note, and what season 2 will have in store for us. Thank you so much for tuning in and enjoy this amazing episode. Yeah, so on that note, I think a lot of people will be very interested to know more about this podcast, the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. I love that phrase. It's like, whenever I listen, I don't know, it just tickles me. There's something about it yeah. Anyway, so first of all, I'd really love to congratulate you on the success of this podcast. I think for me, it's been extra special because I kind of saw it from before it was a thing, from its preconception. Beginning. From the beginning, and it just becoming a thing and it growing. So I feel like a proud older sister, mom, cousin, anything. I just feel proud. But yeah, no, congratulations. You're now on 50 episodes. It's the 50th episode, which is incredible because that is a lot of episodes. And you have over 3,000 downloads to date, which is, again, 3,000. That is, wow. I cannot begin to emphasize how amazing that is. So I'd love to take a step back and just give people more perspective into what motivated you to start this podcast and how you made it happen. Just tell us the story of how all this came to be.
Yeah, so back to your phrase that you asked me earlier, fearless is coming in now. So in essence, as much as COVID there's a lot of bad stuff that's happened with COVID, and I recognize that, and a lot of people have had a lot of loss to COVID, and I recognize that too. But I think COVID also forced some of us to do the things that we always wanted to do, but we were a bit scared and we were a bit fearful to do. So in that sense, I am grateful for this opportunity. So just a quick backstory. I've always, like I said, I've always loved talking to people and working with people. So, but it was at the same time I had this obsession. I have an obsession kind of with voices. So I always liked how voices sound and whatnot. And I remember people used to be like, oh my word, Anne, your voice. And I was like, oh, they're like, have you ever thought of radio? And I'm like, well, no, I haven't. But,
No, but you have a great voice. I mean, it's pleasing to the ear, so I get it.
So I was like, no, I haven't. But I mean, and then I was like, but I'm in science. That doesn't make sense. How can I go? Radio is a thing where people go and study for it. So I was like, that would never happen. So when I was doing my master's, like I said, there was a bit of a disconnect for me. And I always felt like the and then what of the science was missing, right? So, I mean, we get told to publish papers. But I was like, okay, what happens when we publish these papers? But the people who need to benefit from that, the local communities, they don't understand it. And the only people who are going to really read these papers are either the people in your discipline or maybe not even in your discipline, only somebody who's interested in your area of study, because I don't think a lot of us read scientific journals just for the fun of it. If you do, no shade to you, but I'm just saying, like, we don't go like, oh, let me just read
let's pick up Nature. Let's
right?
Bedtime stories. Why not?
Precisely. You only read the stuff that will be of interest to your study. So I was like, there's that little bit of disconnect. And I mean, like, when I think about it in my field, if you talk about treatment structure, randomized block design, which is a type of statistical method, like, what does that even mean to an everyday person? So I was like, there needs to be a way in which people can learn about this work. And it's very fascinating work that we're doing. And we invest our lives, 3-4 years or 2 years if you're just doing your master's, or a year. There needs to be a way in which people can learn more about this. So it started off in the beginning of this year. I was speaking to a friend of mine, Sharon. Shout out, Sharon. And I had just submitted my thesis to examiners. So I had a lot of time on my hands. And everybody was busy. So I was like, oh, Sharon, can I just record you? So I didn't know how I was going to do this. So I was like, Sharon, can I please record you talking about what you're doing, your study? So I did a video, and I was like, this requires so much work. Then I tried to blog, and then I was like, oh, this requires so much work. I have to edit. And then I was like, surely just recording you talk, that is easy. So we got together and we recorded this. It's there. It's one of like my first episodes. I've never gone back to re-listen to it because I'm scared of cringeworthiness. But yeah, we had a conversation about it, and I recorded it. And then I was also talking to somebody on Twitter. They were talking about how they were looking for voiceover artists for narration, or they read theses or something like that. So I messaged them, and they're like, well, why don't you try recording a podcast of your own, start something? And I was like, oh, maybe I could do that. So then they gave me like a crash course in terms of some of the podcast hosts that I could use, and they were really nice. They were really, really nice about it. So then it was all just like happening behind the scenes, right? So then, of course, at the same time, we met up via DM, Twitter, and
slid right into my DMs.
I slid right into your DMs when you were wanting to start the Visibility STEM Africa project, right? And then I was like, hi, if you ever needed somebody, please hit me up. Then you did, and we started working together. And then you guys have this amazing feature where you spotlight all these Africans across the globe in terms of what they're doing and their research. And I was like, oh my words, people are doing some fantastic research. And I think you sent me like George's one, where George was doing like agriculture and drone. And I was like, this is fascinating. So all of these things were all going on. And then the pandemic happened. And I was like, okay, maybe I should look into like starting this podcast thing. I mean, a lot of people are at home. So I started sending out DMs again and asking people like, hi, would you like to be on my podcast? And people were so receptive. It was crazy. Mind you, I had no equipment. I had no funds. I had no idea what I was doing. I had never edited anything in my life. I was still naive thinking that this podcasting was easy because I just have somebody just talks and then that's it. But little did I know. Little did I know. It's another whole different sport. So yeah, that's when then this was end of March. So I then reached out to my small community on Twitter, and I reached out to some of the Visibility STEM people who were featured there, and they agreed, and via Skype, and boom, that's where the baby was born. And it was like an accidental baby, but like, oh, she is beautiful. And I love her.
That
So,
is
yeah.
brilliant. That is brilliant. I'm obviously biased, as you know, you're my girl, and also, you know, I've seen this happening from it being just a vague idea to it becoming a real thing. And I think it's quite amazing how you put together these different things, that you were kind of always into the voices thing, and you know, you reached out to these podcasts, and then, you know, you being part of the Visibility STEM Africa team, like all these things kind of all came together. And then COVID happened, unfortunately, but maybe in a strange way, because of the fact that you had this time where you're kind of just stuck at home, had more time to explore things that maybe if you were busy and had other things to do, it might not have been like given you the platform to start in the way that you ended up doing it. So it's really interesting how things just come together in the end, right?
Definitely.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, you've done 50 episodes at this point. Well, this is the 50th one. I was just wondering if you'd like to highlight some of the memorable gems that have been dropped in some episodes. I know it's like, you know, it's like having like 10 kids and having to choose like your favorite, which is like impossible. But like, if you could just highlight some of the episodes that just come to mind, or just certain things that people shared, certain stories that you just want to highlight.
Okay, so there are a few. The first couple of ones, though, are just like probably I want to say like first 5 guests who came onto the show, you guys included as well, who just trusted me. Like, you guys really just trusted me. And they were just keen. And I think even my questions were whack. They were all kind of the same. And I was a bit nervous. So yeah, those, like, in terms of memorable, like, I just want to shout out to you. Also shout out to my partner. Like, guys, he's been fantastic, because he's also there in the very early beginnings, where he was one of my test dummies. And I've left it there because, like you said, it's part of the process, and I think I just want it to be as organic as possible.
Absolutely.
So that's the first part. Just a big thank you and a big shout out to you, the other Natasha from Visibility STEM, that's Dawni Kunu, that's George, that is Kolisa. That is, again, my partner, Joseph. I'm trying to think, probably Kim. And speaking of Kim, she was also one of my favorite ones, where I think that's where the switch kind of happened for me. I kind of was getting comfortable, where I realized that she helped me realize that this can be a great opportunity for somebody to tell their story, where like the human element sort of can come in, where I can have like a teaching moment, because she had this beautiful part where she explained her research. I mean, Kim Tommy, I keep saying Kim like everybody knows who Kim is. Kim Tommy, she's a fantastic science communicator in her own right.
Absolutely.
Beautiful,
she's fantastic.
Fantastic. So she had this ability where she described her study, and I was just like in awe. So she kind of taught me that I can do this beautiful thing where I can have a teaching moment in terms of you can talk about your research, but also have a very truth-centered moment. Because then she went on and she got so real and open about how her journey was just not straight. So I think that's when I started to realize that, hey, I need to have very organic and very real stories. So that's when the shift happened. Then another one is Tapoka Mkandawire. She had, that girl made me cry.
That's the episode with that, I don't know if it was a poem as such, or
that spoken word poem.
Oh gosh, that got to me too. There were tears all around.
Yeah, she made me cry because she just got in and she told about how she struggled and with her post journey, and how real and honest, and I resonated with that part, and I think a lot of people resonated.
Absolutely. Like I really felt that part was incredible.
Yeah, that was really, really good. Another one, I'm going to go back to you guys with the Visibility STEM founders. That was really fun. It was like, I think it was my first one where I was interviewing people who we just clicked. I mean, to be fair, we met
Yeah.
Before.
Of course.
But that was also one of the ones that generated a lot of traffic, and I think a lot of people really enjoyed that one because we shared some similar visions, but also just you guys are very open and honest about your journeys, and we spoke about some very key issues such as the identity issue, and just and talking about this goal, this dream that we have of just showcasing all of this talent that Africa has, even if it's not on the continent, even if it's in the diaspora. So that was very beautiful. I'm trying to think. There was a lot.
There was a lot. Yeah, exactly. 50 episodes is a lot. Yeah.
There was a lot. There was a lot. But there was a point where, again, I started to have chats with my guests prior to that, to just kind of make them realize prior to the interview where we talk beforehand and they get to know me and I get to tell them what happened. And I think after that happened, after I did that transition, that's where the magic just spewed. It was just, like there's so many guys. So I can't even pick.
Yeah,
yeah, there's a lot.
I can imagine. So to anyone listening now, you have 49 other episodes that you need to catch up on if you haven't listened, and they are all brilliant in their own right. I think for me, I know you probably for the first episodes you were nervous and such, but it didn't even come through, at least for somebody who didn't know. I think often if you're the one doing a thing, you can be so hypercritical of yourself. Yeah. And, when you're on the receiving end, you're just like, oh, this is great. And I mean, you've done such a brilliant job of showcasing all these amazing Africans in STEM and allowing them to tell their stories in their own voice, literally, hearing people's voice and the emotion behind what they're saying. It's such a powerful thing. So thank you for creating this. It's a pleasure to witness.
Thank you.
I would like to ask you, what opportunities have come about because of this podcast? Is anything over the last couple of months? I'm pretty sure that there've been a couple of developments or things that you've been able to do because of this podcast. Would you like to share some of that with us?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, this year has been, whoa, it's been wow, but this is a good wow. This is a good wow. So many, I've met, first of all, I have met 50, okay, maybe not, okay, but let's not say 50, let's say minimum at least 45 new people, because maybe some of them I knew prior. So 45 new people from all over the world. I have grown my network globally. I can literally say that I've met so many fantastic human beings, people who are directors, who are founders of amazing organizations. And I remember I was having a conversation with my mom, and I was telling her that, give or take 20 years from now, or even 10 years from now, I can literally say that because I've developed friendships in this process, that I can literally say that I've got a friend who is a director of blah, 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 who is a vice president of blah, 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 because I already see where all of these people, their paths are just, it blows my mind. It just blows my mind. So first of all, that some of the friendships and the networks has been really great. And also it's opened so many doors into places that I never thought I'd be. I mean, I was interviewed on a national radio station. I mean, what?
That is me wild. Yeah.
How is that even possible? And I mean, also all these features, there's been so many features and articles, and it's been a lot. Sometimes I'm like, pinch me, so many amazing things. Yeah, so many amazing things. And I mean, I was even shortlisted for the Falling Wars Science Engagement Initiative, which is an organization that's based in Germany. I mean, what? Girl. Me? What? Girl. Again? So many things. I'm just so grateful because that platform has just, I don't even want to say opened doors, because it's more of smashed.
It's just bulldozed them out of the way.
Yeah, so many spaces and places that I never thought I'd be there, but I am there. And sometimes I have to be like, what? So yeah, it's been great.
I can imagine. It's such an incredible thing, seeing yourself in these articles and being like, who? It's that's me, and people hitting you up wanting to interview you. Such a weird feeling, right? It's just like me. Just you want to know what I have to say? That's okay.
Yeah.
So I totally feel you, but you should embrace it because you've created something that people want to share, and it's important that it's showcased because the stories that you are allowing people to have access to, they're so incredible. So I'm not surprised that you've been invited into all these spaces. I want to, before we kind of wrap up, I want to ask you, it's a biggish question, but where do you see this podcast in the next 3 to 5 years? What is your vision for this podcast? What do you want? What you want to do with it? What are you thinking?
Wow, that's a biggish question, but these days I've learned, I think also because of the many amazing people who have met, who have told me to just dream as big as possible. I mean, even if it sounds wild, God, the universe, they tend to work even better with those wild dreams. So I don't know if it's 3 years. If it happens in 3 years, I'll be like, damn. But the overarching goal, I would love for this podcast to grow, even if it's like a TV show. So think BBC Africa, think something international like that, but in a manner that this platform gets to become the premier platform for all Africans in STEM to talk about their research and their stories again in their own voice. So if you're an African researcher and you want to talk about something, you'd be like, I want to talk with Anne with an E or Anne Chisa, however I brand myself at that point. But that's where I truly see this going. That's a big dream. Like really I just think that there's just something missing in a manner that we need to, I've realized during this process that this podcast is so much bigger than me.
Absolutely.
Up to these 50 episodes, I've been doing the Be Heard campaign where people are really talking to us about how this podcast plays like an important role in their lives. And I'm like, whoa, where they get to be inspired, they get to hear, your story is actually very common, that you don't have to be the A straight student or that you can come from a village wherever and you can end up across the world, from Africa. So I just want to create a space where young people can be inspired, or even the people who are in this field can understand, and you can create safe spaces as well to talk all of these relevant issues. I mean, because there's a lot of issues. There's a lot of shows, like the doctor shows where they talk about doctor stuff. So, I mean, why are we not having a show talking about stuff like them? Yeah. Like, why is that not mainstream media? Why? Exactly. And even more so Africans in STEM, because we grew up, you and I can both attest to this, that when we were growing up, scientists didn't look like us.
Oh, no.
Never.
They were white and men. Like
men, precisely.
Men and white ones. Like
white,
which
white
is literally
men.
Which is literally a demographic I have no commonality with. Like,
exactly.
So I feel you.
Let's have somebody who has the color of our skin, or who's got crazy tattoos or dyed hair, and they're still damn good at what they do. Absolutely. And you can be like, whoa, I want to be like Tasha, or I want to be like Anne, or I want to be like Kim, or I want to be, for us to just destroy this mold, Absolutely. Like sometimes I watch these shows that my sister watches, these science shows, and it's white men. I want her to look up to be like, damn,
Exactly.
and she gets to see that. So that's what I want to do. That's the big
picture.
Dream. Yeah. Amazing. And just get to do this, but still be called now, probably like not just Anne with an E, I'll probably be like Dr. Anne with an E.
Of course, Dr. Anne with an E. Exactly. I love that. And yeah, I mean, I really love that idea. I 100% would watch that TV show. I mean, I already listened to your podcast and I love it. And I think it would be even more amazing to be able to see the faces of the people telling the stories. And so anyone listening, if you are in some production company, you want to get some TV show going on, you should really hit Anne up and, make stuff happen. Because if there's one thing that I think both Anne and I have learned this year is that if you want to do something, just do it. You might not know what's going to come out of it, but the only way you're going to know is if you try. So anyone listening to this who has some video production, that kind of vibe, hit her up. maybe we can make this happen even before 3 years. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows?
Exactly.
Who knows?
Put that out there into the universe, and we'll see what sets. But on that note, I mean, beyond the root of the science, of course, it's an important part of what you're doing. But of course, you're also doing a PhD, and you also have a life outside of your work. What's the long-term vision for Anne with an E? Just generally, just where do you see yourself in the next 5 years or so? Where do you want to be, at least in the next couple of years?
On a personal level, yeah. So I'd love to have gotten this PhD. I don't know if I will stay in academia, because I feel like what I'm doing really resonates with my soul and that interaction part. So it would really be something for me to be in academia. So I really hope that this just skyrockets me and pushes me into something different, or just working in something different. On a more personal note, I'd love to start a family. Oh my word, I'm like the biggest romantic.
We want little Annes. So we're here.
Love little Annes. To just be Mrs. Whoever at that point.
Mrs. Somebody.
So I know it sounds like, and also because I really also want to destroy this notion of how you can't. Okay, I know it's not going to be easy. Like, let me not just speak here out of like pure naivety, and somebody's like, this girl don't know what she's talking about. But I really just want us to destroy this notion that you can't be this ambitious, driven woman, but still want to come and to just have a person and to just have a family. Again, I don't know how it's going to be done, but I believe that it can be done.
Absolutely.
So that's like where, as much as I love what I do, but I really enjoy my family. I really enjoy my people, and I really enjoy cooking. So I want to cook for people in my house.
We're definitely coming for visits, girl. We want to be cooked for. Yeah. We're coming through.
So all of that soppy stuff, and and to travel. I just hope I really pray that this podcast, I mean, I can't this year because COVID, but I really look forward that this podcast can be like a launch pad for me to travel.
A catapult to just take
travel the world, because that's what I was as well. So, and meet more people and just be inspired some more, or be inspired to do something else, or to learn more. So yeah, that's what I see and where I hope I am gonna be.
Yeah, amazing. And I mean, I think at some point you also need to try as much as you can to manifest your own destiny. So if you want that family and you want to be doing your podcast, your TV show, you have to just go with that. And as much as there'll be challenges, I don't think that, especially knowing you, I know you're going to find a way to make that happen for yourself. So you've got this. I think this would be a nice opportunity for you to just give some advice to anyone who's just been inspired by your story, whether that's your academic journey, whether that's been your journey with the root of the science, some young Malawians who are listening to this, some young African girls, some boy, everyone, anyone, even people who aren't Africans as them. I'm sure there's something that anyone can take out of this story. What advice would you like to just give somebody inspired by the story and hoping to follow in your example, to create their own path, but kind of inspired by yours?
First and foremost, just don't be scared. Okay, well, fear, like I said, this year has been a year of me being brave and just being fearless. I learned that fear, the acronym is like false expectations appearing real. So we create some of these things in our heads, our brain, guys. Oh, that one, it's
dangerous.
It's a problem. So she creates all these false expectations and they appear real. So that's another one. Just try to get out of that thing that you want to do, and that thing that always comes to you, because I truly believe, and I always say this over and over again, I even said it to my mentees recently, that we each have that dream or that thing that comes to you constantly that only you know, only you and God know, or whichever higher power you believe in know, and only you can do, right? And it will keep on coming at you. Try and go for it, and just don't be scared. And another important thing, reach out to people. Reach out to people. Slide in DMs. I am like the DM queen. You know this.
And it works. It works.
Yeah, it does. Because I truly believe the person who you want to be will probably not be found with the people who you already know now. Because if that was the case, then you would have been that person. And this is no offense to the people who you know now. I don't condone or say that you should like say bye to these people. No. But I'm just saying you need to reach out to these new people and not be like, only the people who I know. Sis, the ones that you don't know are the people who you need to reach out to.
Absolutely.
And the most fantastic thing that you'll realize when you reach out to people is that they say one of four things. First of all, they'll say yes, which is usually most of the time, or they'll say not now, or they'll say no, but refer you to somebody. And lastly, they'll say no. But in most cases, it comes in that order where they'll usually, more often than not, they'll say yes. So try, like, do not be afraid, like, reach out to people. I mean, why also like, I don't know, maybe it's the laziness in me, but I just feel like why work so hard to learn something from scratch by yourself when
absolutely
somebody has already done that and they can give you the
information. Like there's no value in reinventing the wheel if it's already
the wheel does not need to be reinvented. I learned something that all of the ideas, all of the great ideas that usually come up are stolen ideas. So that somebody's done this somewhere. Like, you just take it and then like twist it a little. So the same with me. There's a lot of podcasts out there. I didn't say, oh no, I'm going to start my own. I took the podcast idea and I just spun it. So it's a stolen idea and I just twisted it a little. There's no need to reinvent the wheel, and just reach out, be it to Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, Facebook, there's a lot of Facebook groups out there, be it LinkedIn, whatever platform, use social media. Like, I cannot overstress this enough. Don't just go on social media just to go and watch celebrities. I mean, you can do that, but how's that really helping you? Use it to connect with people, because the 21st century has made it so easy for you and I. You in Luxembourg, I'm in South Africa. This would have never happened. Ever.
Absolutely.
But here we are connecting. I mean, even when we have our team meetings with Visibility Sam Africa, Luxembourg, Australia, South Africa, United Kingdom.
Absolutely.
How? Because of social media and because of Zoom. I mean, we're in the world of Zoom now, or Skype, or whatever you use, or even WhatsApp call. Like,
exactly.
It's so easy for us to connect, guys. Like, there's no excuse. So that's what I can say. Like, please just try. Just be as brave as possible. Just, the fear, I will say it again. Fear is false expectations appearing real. It's not true. It's not true. It really isn't.
It's not true. That is powerful. It is
not true. It is not true. It's just our mind. So that's what I can say.
That's what you can say. Absolutely, guys. Remember that acronym and use social media in a way that is actually meaningful. I mean, you can still stalk people and scroll around. We all do it. It's allowed. But I agree that there's so much potential for networking now, and it's so invaluable. But we won't get into that more. I think we can have a separate episode about networking on social media and how to make that work for you. But anyway, on that note, this has been really, really fun. I could go on for another hour. I've had to hold myself back from rambling because I love talking to you. I mean, Anne and I have conversations for hours anyway, so this has been very difficult for me to just keep it okay, let's keep it in a good time frame. But just before we end things, I wanted to know, and I'm sure a lot of people are curious, what can we expect in season 2 of the Root of the Science podcast?
All right. So season 2, I want to grow bigger. So we're going to expand again more into more social networks. We're going to create our own little home on Facebook, because a number of people has asked me about it, because not everybody is as active on Twitter. So we're going to create that little home for people to kind of have engaged. And I think will create a little group putting it to the universe. I'm going to create some sort of website. I don't know how. I don't know how. We're going to have a lot more. I want to create a little bit more interactive sections. So I'm not going to give too much away, but there's going to be, I really loved how interactive people have been in this Be Heard campaign. So there's going to be a little bit more of that. And I haven't decided. You guys might, depending on how busy I am going to be, because I am a PhD student, I might change it to only once a week. But we'll see how busy I am, because this is a lot. But expect more Africans in STEM, expect more collaborations. So if anybody's also looking, speaking of collaborations, not only just content collaborations, but hey, if you ever wanted to be part of the team, I think next season I'm trying to expand a little bit. So if you ever wanted to join, you can always hit me up and we can find ways on how to do that. So this season, we're just going bigger. We've created the foundation, and I'm just really excited to how big it is going to be, because it's been great.
You're
going to take a little bit of a break first. And then she's going to come back, and we're going to start with a bang. There's just so many Africans that I know. And I mean, there's so many Africans and there's only one me. So, girl, I got you guys. I got you guys.
I hear you. And we are excited for season 2. We can't wait. And we know you're going to be back with a bang. And you guys heard, if you are interested in joining the Root of the Science team, please hit up. And we always do things better if we're part of a team. And she is brilliant. She is lovely. You would love working with her. So I give my stamp of approval for this. And with that, I just want to thank you so much, Anne, for this opportunity to guest host this episode. This has been so much. I was a little bit nervous because I've never done this before, but talking to you is so easy. So I'm so grateful. I'm constantly learning more about you, and you inspire me so much. I'm just really happy that we did this. I think with that we can end this episode. And I don't know if you have anything you want to say last before we close off.
Yeah, sure. I just want to say thank you to you for doing this and for being a fantastic guest host. I mean, we'll probably bring you back sometime next season. This is fantastic. I really, really enjoyed it. And also just a big shout out. I just have a heart of gratitude to every single person. Oh, guys, this is not a me thing. I might get a little bit emotional right now, but I am my heart, if you could see my heart, it's just overflowing, and I'm just so thankful. I'm thankful for every single person who comments, who enjoys, who shares, and for all these amazing sheroes, especially all these fantastic women who, like yourself, who inspire me, who push me to be better, and who every single time I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing that. Wow, what? So it's possible. Okay, I can do this. And just also some of my friends who are not even in the science field and who enjoy this. So, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. So with that, we're closing off season 1, 50 episodes, over 3,000 downloads, and we will catch you back here in a bit. Let's give Anne with an E a chance to breathe.
Thank you so much.